Welcome back to the channel, guys. It is me, 8744. So today, guys, I'm going to give you guys my early predictions for the Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League. So like I said, I'm going to do this a very quick. Obviously, as you guys are members here, you guys have early access to this. I will do my full official predictions around the month of February, of course. So like around like February 1st, I'll probably be dropping those predictions. All right, let's start with the first match we got here is Porto versus Arsenal. I think for me, Arsenal is the favorites. I respect what Porto have done. I think Porto is a very solid team. I think they're a very underrated team, and I do feel like Porto is good. It's just that I feel like Arsenal for me have too much quality, especially looking at the attacking third. Because I saw what Porto did against Barca. They played really well against Barca, but they just weren't clinical in the final third, whereas Arsenal are. So I'm going to give Arsenal a slight edge, although I could see Porto doing it. I think a lot of people are writing Porto off in this tie, and I do think they can do this. It's just I feel like for me, the second leg, the Emirates, I think is just a big advantage. I just don't see Porto getting a result there. The only way I could see Porto going through is if they can win the home game. Because if Arsenal wins the first leg, draw, or win, then it's already over. Because I can't see Porto getting a result in the Emirates. We have Napoli-Barcelona. As a Barca fan, I think this is a great matchup for us. It's not the worst draw we could have got. It's not the best draw, though. So we do have somewhat of a challenge, but we don't have the hardest challenge, which I think is like. And both teams have been underwhelming this season after winning their respective league titles last season. And I just feel like for me, for Barca, if we pull our cards right, I think we can do this. Because we have beaten Napoli before in the last couple of occasions. And I think we can do this, And I feel like for me, Napoli is the same as last season. See, if it was last season Napoli, I would be very worried. Because last season Napoli was very good. This season, though, they have seemingly regressed. And I feel like for me, we can get the job done. I feel like for me, the second leg being at home is a huge advantage. And I just feel like for me, Barca will rise to the occasion. Because it feels like for me, Barca do really well against the big teams, as we've seen so far in La Liga this season. Then PSG versus Sociedad. This is an easy draw for PSG. A lot of people are saying, oh, this is an easy draw. PSG will smash Sociedad. Sociedad are a very solid team. They're very, very disciplined. They're very well organized, very well drilled. My only concern with Sociedad is their final third. They are terrible when it comes to the final third. They are not clinical whatsoever with their chances. And I just feel like for me, for PSG, see, the only player I can see for PSG rising up is Mbappe. Mbappe is that guy. If Sociedad can destroy a man mark and get Mbappe out of the game, they for sure will advance. I cannot see a scenario where PSG advance without Mbappe. And PSG will only advance if Mbappe has a masterclass. I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to go with PSG. I just feel like for me, Mbappe will rise to the occasion. And I just feel like for me, Sociedad, even though they are playing the first leg, second leg at home, I feel like the first leg away might actually be a bad thing for them. Because they are going to come under so much pressure. It's going to be difficult for Sociedad to get a result away in Paris. And Paris is PSG have a very good record at home. So I think for Sociedad in particular, I just feel like for me, what's going to happen is Sociedad will outplay PSG over the two games, but I just feel like for me, PSG will be more clinical in the final third, especially with the likes of Mbappe. I just feel like Mbappe is going to rise to the occasion. Because for me, Sociedad's midfield is way better. Their defense is way better. The only thing I give PSG is their attack. Their attack is probably better than Sociedad. Just Mbappe alone is probably better than Sociedad's entire attack, which is why I think it shifts to PSG. So yeah. Next up is Inter versus Atletico Madrid. Probably the closest matchup we have of the round. Probably the most interesting, most difficult to want to call. And what makes this matchup very interesting, very intriguing, is that both these teams are very kind of similar play style. They're tactically very similar. Both are very defense oriented. They're also very counter attack, and both teams are kind of pragmatic in some ways. So at this current moment, I would give Inter the slight edge just because I feel like for me, Inter have the experience in the Champions League. They've proven it more to me. Whereas Atletico Madrid, I feel like they are a good team. It's just that I think Atletico Madrid have been kind of underwhelming the last couple of Champions League. I haven't really been impressed for them. And even though Atletico did top the group with Lazio and Feyenoord, I wasn't as impressed. I'll be honest with you. I think that was a very easy group for Atletico Madrid, and I just feel like for me, Inter is gonna be a real difficult challenge. So I'm going to go with Inter to progress in that one. Then we have PSV versus Dortmund. What a matchup this is. I think this is probably the best matchup, and from a neutral point of view, because you're guaranteed goals. I think what makes this matchup so interesting is how will PSV do, because PSV have been amazing this season. I think they are the best team in Europe so far this season. Only one loss this season is absolutely insane. They're unbeaten in the league. They're like 15 wins. They haven't even drawn a game. And Dortmund have been amazing, have been great this season. Look what they did in the Champions League group. They topped the group with PSG, Milan and Newcastle, which is very commendable because a lot of people are clowning Dortmund, say, oh, they're going to finish bottom of the group, they're going to finish third at best, they're not going to get top 2. We have to give them that respect. It's a difficult one, guys. It's a difficult one to call because I feel like this is a very high-scoring matchup, but I think Dortmund has a slight edge. I'm going to go with Dortmund to progress. I just feel like, for me, Dortmund at home is a different beast. Dortmund is very solid at home, and I don't think PSV can get a result away in Dortmund. The best they can do is a draw, but I can't see PSV winning away in Dortmund. Whereas I think Dortmund can get a draw. I think for Dortmund, the key is don't lose that first leg. If Dortmund don't lose that first leg, then I think they're good. And I feel like Dortmund have proven it more to me in the Champions League than PSV. As good as PSV have been domestically, I don't think their group for PSV was really as tough because let's be real, Sevilla have been awful this season. Lens, they are good, but they don't have the quality. So I'm not we kind of expected PSV to do this, so I can't really give them much respect. Lazio versus Bayern Munich, guys. I'm gonna just be short and blunt here. I don't think Lazio have a chance. And I know you guys are going to come at me, oh, come on, man, there's a slight... No, sorry. Lazio for me, Maurizio, sorry. They're awful on the road. Lazio is terrible on the road. They're just good at home. And I feel like for me, Lazio, they're going to get... This is the worst matchup for them. Bayern Munich is going to destroy them because Bayern Munich are just so clinical. They're such a well-organized team. And even though Bayern haven't really been that great in the last couple of years in the Champions League, Bayern, for me, just is the worst matchup for Lazio because Lazio will play into Bayern Munich's hands because Bayern just have so much more quality in the final third. And I just feel like for me, Lazio, it's just going to be too difficult. I just think it's too difficult for Maurizio Sarri. And I feel bad for Maurizio Sarri because he said he wanted Barcelona. And instead he got Bayern Munich. So, it's crazy in that regard. And Copenhagen, Man City, guys, I'm going to just be short and sweet here. Man City will destroy Copenhagen. I think Man City will obliterate Copenhagen. I feel really bad for Copenhagen. They had to endure the worst possible test. And we were even saying this. I even told you guys some predictions that Copenhagen will get Man City. And I wasn't. I think I was in HH's. I was watching HH's stream replay. They literally did Copenhagen Man City 3 times a draw. It happened. That same exact matchup happened 3 times in a row. So I feel like for me, Manchester City will beat Copenhagen. Then RB Leipzig versus Real Madrid. This is an interesting one. I don't think this is an easy draw as Real Madrid fans are making this out to be. But let's be real. Real Madrid should be advancing. RB Leipzig for me. They're a good team, but I think defensively they're not very good. I don't think Leipzig is very solid defensively, and I think Real Madrid will get at that team. So I think Real Madrid should be fine. I think they'll do it. So basically, in summary, guys, I have predicted all the group winners to advance, with the exception of PSG and Inter Milan. I'm going with all the group winners except those two, basically. Basically, all the Pot 1 teams, barring PSG and Inter. Moving on to the Europa League, we have here. Let's start with Feyenoord versus Roma. Guys, I'm tired of seeing this matchup. I'm really tired of seeing this matchup. And I feel so bad for Feyenoord. Once again, they have to play Roma. It feels like the two are destined to meet each other. It really does. That being said, I think Feyenoord are the thing is I think Roma for me this season has been worse than last season. But my concern with Feyenoord is that even though I think they are a better team than Roma as a unit, I just feel like for me, Roma's second leg at home is just perfect for Jose Mourinho because Mourinho is that guy, right? He's that manager that can get the result because we all know what he's going to try to do. He's going to try to get a draw or lose away in the first leg, and then come the second leg, be very, very good, right? So I feel like for me, Roma will be extremely defensive in the first leg, and I just feel like for me, they're going to come to life and play the second leg. So I'm really hoping Feyenoord gets revenge this time around. I actually don't want Roma to win. I want things to be different. But I do think Roma will advance. Then we have Milan versus Rennes. Well, I mean, Rennes for me, I don't think they have been that great. I've not been that impressed with Rennes, and I feel like they were kind of robbed against Villarreal. I feel like they should have had that goal, but, it is what it is. I feel like for Rennes, for me, though, I just don't think they have the quality in the final third. I really don't, and I just feel like for me, this team really needs Doku. I think Doku is really that guy. And for Milan, I think they should be fine with this matchup. That being said, though, Milan have to win the first leg at home because they're going to have to travel away to France for the second leg, and I can't see Milan getting a result in France. So I think Milan, if they can win the first leg, they should be fine moving on to round of 16. Then we have Lens versus Freiburg. This is a difficult one. This is a difficult one to call. I think this is a very interesting one. Freiburg, for me, have been impressive. Look what they did in the Europa League last season. I think they waited all the way to the round of 16 and lost to Juventus. So I feel like for Lens, they have also impressed me a lot. A lot of people write them off in the Champions League, and they did very well for this group. So I'm going to actually go with Lons, though. I think Lons, for me, have impressed me more. That being said, though, I'm a bit concerned Lons have to travel away to Germany for the second leg. So I think Lons, if they can win the first leg at home, then I think they should be fine. I think they should be fine and get the job done. They get Young Boys versus Sporting. Young Boys, they did really well in the Champions League group. You know, they got a win over Red Star Belgrade and got a draw against them on the road. So young boys have done well, and I think they qualified through the playoffs if I'm not mistaken. So that's a good achievement for them. As for Sporting, we know how good this team is. The players they have, you have that striker Gokares, who's been amazing. And I just feel like for Sporting, they're just a really solid team. It's just they have to be a bit more better in the final third, which is my big concern I have with them last season. So I think they have got that striker position sorted. So I'm going to go Sporting to advance, so I think Sporting are just a much better team, the Young Boys, and yeah, I think they will do it. Benfica versus Toulouse. Now, guys, even though Benfica are the heavy favorites, and I would normally pick Benfica, I feel like for me there is an upset in the making here, because Benfica, for me, have been very, very iffy. They haven't been great in the Champions League this season. It's been very, very bad for them. They had a really, really bad start. They did rectify things towards the end, though, getting that draw against Inter at home and then getting that victory against Salzburg on the road. But for me, with Benfica, it's just that I think Toulouse have a great chance. I think Toulouse are a solid team, especially at home. I think they're very good. Away from home, they're not very good. So that's my concern with Toulouse, is that I feel like for me, it's going to come down to it's going to come down to a Portugal game, because Benfica have to win that game. Because if Toulouse gets a draw or a win, it's over. I can't see Benfica winning away against Toulouse. At this current moment, I would probably lean towards Benfica. I think they do have the better quality players, and they should be doing this, but I could see Toulouse doing it upset. Now we have Braga versus Quarterback. I'll be honest with you guys, Braga have been amazing. They really do well in the Champions League group. Managed to get points here and there. And even though they didn't get anything against Napoli or Real Madrid, I think they made those games pretty close. It wasn't like a thrashing, they only lost 3-0 at most, which is respectable, right? Quarterback, on the other hand, I've not been that impressed with this team. I feel like they have been decent. I feel like they're just good at home. They're just a good home team. And I feel like that Europa League group was a bit too easy for them. And so I feel like for this one, guys, I think Braga should be able to get the job done. Then next up is Galatasaray versus Sparta Prague. I feel like for me with Galatasaray, Sparta Prague could actually do this. I feel like for me, because I don't trust Galatasaray on the road. I really don't. They're really only good at home. On the road, I don't trust this team, because we look at what they did this season in the Champions League. They only got a victory against United away, which was commendable to say the least. But we all know how trash United were in the group stage, so I don't know how much we can give them that credit. Kudos, right? So I feel like for me, even though Galatasaray are the heavy favorites, I actually think Sparta Prague will advance, because I don't trust Galatasaray to get a result away in Czech Republic. And we know how good Czech teams are. Czech teams are super underrated. So I'm going to go Sparta Prague to actually advance for that one. Next up is Shakhtar versus Marseille. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Marseille should do this, but I have a feeling Shakhtar is going to do this, because Shakhtar, for me, they're a very, very underrated team. And I feel like for me, Shakhtar, they're just so well organized. I was really, really impressed with what they did in the Champions League in particular. Getting those results, getting that big, big W over Barca. And look how competitive they made the group. They made the group a lot more competitive than people thought. So I'm going to go with Shakhtar to advance this one. Marseille, for me, are a good team, but I just don't really trust Marseille. I really don't. But that said, though, Marseille do have the advantage of playing the second leg at home, which could be very crucial for them. All right, moving on to the Conference League right here, guys. We have here Sturm Graz versus Slovan Bratislava. Slovan Bratislava should be favorites for that one. I think they should be able to get the job done. Then Servette versus Ludogorets. I'm going to go with Ludogorets to get this job done. I've not really been that impressed with Servette, although they did do well. Union SG Frankfurt. This is where I'm going to go with the upset. I think Frankfurt, for me, have been really, really shocking. They haven't been great in the group. And getting beat by Plock home and away is a disgrace. With the quality of players they have, they shouldn't be doing that. And I think Union SG can do this. I think they're going to knock out Frankfurt, which could be one of the big upsets of the round. Next up is Real Betis versus Dinamo Zagreb. It's a very difficult one to call. I'm kind of torn for this one. I don't know which one to pick, but at this moment, I'm going to go with Real Betis. I feel like for me, Dinamo Zagreb, they have lost too many big players in the last few years for me to pick them, and I've not really been that impressed. Olympiacos versus Ferencváros. I'm going to go Ferencváros. I think Ferencváros, for me, are a really solid, underrated team, and I really think they're a very underrated team. I think that we should give them that respect. Next up is Ajax versus Bodo Glimt. I'm going to go with Bodo Glimt. I'm going to go with Bodo Glimt to do this, because I think the second leg being at home is a huge advantage. And I just feel like for me, I feel like for me, Bodo Glimt, there's just something special about them. And I feel like they'll get the job done. I really hope Ajax do this though. I think Ajax do this will be fun. Then we have Mold versus Legia Warsaw. Legia Warsaw have been amazing. They have surprised me so much this season in the what is it called Europa League. So sorry, Conference League. They did really well. So I'm gonna go with Legia Warsaw to advance, and then Maccabi Haifa versus Ghent. I'm gonna go with Ghent to advance. I think Ghent have too much quality for Maccabi Haifa. That being said, though, Maccabi Haifa did defeat Genk at home, which you have to give them that credit. So those are my predictions for the games, guys. Let me know your predictions, comments below. Remember, guys, these are my early predictions. And remember, guys, these could subject to change when I do my actual real predictions in the month of February. So please let me know your predictions, comments below. Hope you guys are into this video, guys. Remember, guys, like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.